Captain Ethan Carter piloted the TDF Horizon through the uncharted perimeters of human space, his eyes scanning the vast, dark expanse. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Marco Silva, adjusted the sensors, focusing on a faint signal that had begun to pierce the static. "Got something strange here, Captain," Marco said, his voice a mix of curiosity and caution. "It's a distress beacon, but it doesn't match any known signatures." Ethan leaned forward, his interest piqued. "Location?" "Approximately 3,000 kilometers starboard, orbiting an unregistered planet," Marco replied, tapping the coordinates into the navigation system. "Take us in, slow and steady. Helm, keep us cloaked and scan for any other ships," Ethan commanded, turning to his communications officer, Sergeant Zoe Reed. "Zoe, keep an eye on that signal. Let me know if it changes." As the Horizon approached the source of the distress signal, the outline of a small, damaged craft became visible against the backdrop of the planet below. Ethan studied the alien ship, noting its sleek design and the unfamiliar symbols adorning its hull. "Looks like we've got ourselves an unknown visitor," Ethan murmured. "Prepare for a potential first contact scenario. Marco, ready the docking bay and gather a security team. I want us prepared for anything." "Yes, sir," Marco acknowledged, his voice steady as he relayed the orders. Ethan turned to his medical officer, Dr. Liam Walsh. "Liam, you're with me. There might be survivors." Liam nodded, his expression serious. "Medical kit's ready. Let's hope we're not too late." The docking procedure was smooth. Ethan led the team into the alien craft, the dim lighting from their helmets cutting through the darkness. The interior was silent except for the soft hum of the ship's failing systems. "Life signs?" Ethan asked, turning to Liam. Liam passed his scanner over the area. "Weak, but yes, one life form, possibly in stasis." They followed the signal to a small chamber where they found an alien girl enclosed in a transparent pod. Her features were delicate, and her skin shimmered with a subtle luminescence. Liam ran his scanner over the pod, then looked up at Ethan with a nod. "She's alive but in some kind of induced hibernation," he explained. "Can we wake her up safely?" Ethan asked, his gaze fixed on the alien. "It's risky without knowing their physiology, but her vital signs are stabilizing. It might be safer to wake her than to move her in this state," Liam replied, adjusting the settings on his medical device. "Let's do it. Carefully," Ethan decided, watching intently as Liam worked. The pod hissed as the seal broke, and the alien girl's eyes fluttered open. She looked around, visibly confused, then focused on Ethan and his team. Her eyes widened in alarm. "Hey, it's okay, you're safe," Ethan said soothingly, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. "We're here to help." The girl spoke, her voice musical, but filled with uncertainty. "Where am I? Who are you?" "I'm Captain Ethan Carter, and this is my crew," Ethan replied, gesturing to his team. "You're aboard the TDF Horizon, a Terran Defense Force vessel. We picked up your distress signal. Can you tell us your name?" The alien hesitated, then replied, "Zara. My name is Zara. Was on a scientific mission. Thank you for saving me." "Of course, Zara. You're welcome here," Ethan assured her. "Do you remember what happened to your ship?" Zara's expression turned somber. "Attacked. By a ship I did not recognize. It was sudden. They hit us, and then everything failed. I launched the distress beacon before I entered stasis." Ethan exchanged a glance with Marco, who nodded in understanding. "We'll do everything we can to help you and figure out what happened. For now, let's get you to our med bay and make sure you're really okay." As they guided Zara out of her damaged ship, Ethan felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. Whoever had attacked Zara might still be out there, and now the Horizon could be a target too. But first, he had a guest to take care of, a guest who might hold the key to understanding more about the universe and its unseen dangers. Once safely aboard the TDF Horizon, Zara was quickly escorted to the medical bay, where Dr. Liam Walsh conducted a thorough examination. Captain Ethan Carter and Lieutenant Marco Silva watched through the observation glass, discussing their unexpected guest. "She seems peaceful, almost ethereal," Marco noted, eyeing the alien through the glass. "Not what I expected from someone who's just survived an attack." Ethan nodded, his gaze fixed on Zara. "Her technology, the ship, it's all way beyond what we've encountered before. This could change everything for us." In the medical bay, Zara sat up on the examination table, looking curiously at the various medical instruments. Liam was gentle but professional, explaining each step of the process to ensure she felt comfortable. Your physiology is quite similar to ours, but there are some fascinating differences, Liam explained, showing her some scans on a screen. Your cellular regeneration is particularly remarkable. Zara listened intently, her large eyes reflecting a keen intelligence. We Illyrians evolved on a planet rich in bioluminescent flora. It influenced our development significantly. After the medical checkup, Ethan entered the medical bay, giving Liam a nod to step out. He approached Zara with a warm smile. Feeling better? Yes, thank you, Captain Carter, Zara replied, her tone gracious. Your doctor is very kind. Ethan chuckled. Please, call me Ethan. We try to keep things informal here among friends. Zara's lips curved into a smile. Then you must call me Zara. Ethan sat down beside her. Zara, we need to discuss what happened to your ship. Can you tell us anything about the attackers? Zara's expression darkened. I saw very little, only shadows and flashes of light. Their technology was different, aggressive and invasive. We'll do our best to find out who they are, Ethan assured her. For now, you're safe with us. The conversation shifted as Zara became more comfortable. Her curiosity about human customs surfaced, sparking a series of questions that Ethan found both amusing and challenging. Your crew seems very close. Is it common for humans to form such bonds? Zara asked, watching some crew members chatting amiably in the corridor. Ethan smiled. Yes, it's part of being human. We rely on each other, not just for survival, but for companionship. And mating? Zara's question was innocent but direct, causing Ethan to cough slightly in surprise. Well, yes, that's part of it too, Ethan replied, trying to keep the conversation academic. Humans form relationships that can be quite deep and personal. We mate not just to reproduce, but also as an expression of love. Love? Zara pondered the word as if tasting it for the first time. We do not use such terms in Illyrian culture. Our connections are spiritual, more transcendent. Ethan found himself intrigued by her perspective. That sounds beautiful. For us, mating involves physical connection, which can strengthen emotional bonds. You mean to mate you do more than just kiss? Zara asked, her voice a mixture of curiosity and astonishment. Ethan laughed, the sound echoing softly in the medical bay. Yes, quite a bit more. Kissing is just one of the ways we express affection and start a deeper physical connection. Zara looked thoughtful, her eyes bright with intrigue. I would like to understand more about this kissing. Without thinking, Ethan leaned in slightly, then caught himself. It's an important part of human intimacy, he explained, maintaining a professional distance but with a friendly tone. It's a way to share feelings that might be hard to express in words. I see, Zara said, her gaze lingering on Ethan's lips for a moment longer than necessary. Your customs are very interesting, Ethan. Ethan stood up, feeling the conversation was veering into uncharted territory. I'll make sure you get more insights into our culture. For now, let's focus on getting you settled and comfortable here. As he left the medical bay, Ethan couldn't help but feel that their discussions about human relationships were going to be more challenging and more intriguing than he had anticipated. Back in his quarters, Captain Ethan Carter mulled over his conversation with Zara. Her inquiries about human intimacy had left him slightly unsettled, yet deeply fascinated. He found himself drawn to her unique perspective and innocent curiosity. Shaking off the lingering thoughts, he turned his attention to the looming crisis. Ethan summoned his senior officers to the conference room for an urgent briefing. Lieutenant Marco Silva, Sergeant Zoe Reed, and Dr. Liam Walsh quickly gathered around the holographic map, displaying nearby star systems and potential threat vectors. All right, team, let's get to the heart of the matter, Ethan began, his tone serious as he activated the display. We have an unknown hostile force out there. Zara's ship was advanced, and yet it was taken down with ease. We need to understand who we're dealing with and what their intentions might be. Marco leaned forward, analyzing the data. The attack pattern doesn't match any known pirate or enemy factions. This could be an entirely new threat. Zoe chimed in, her expression tense. I've increased scanning protocols and enhanced our external sensors. If they come for us, we'll be ready." Ethan nodded appreciatively. "Good work, Zoe. Keep us on high alert." Dr. Liam Walsh then turned the discussion toward Zara's well-being. "She's physically healthy but shaken. The attack left more than just physical scars. We need to consider her mental state as well." Ethan considered Liam's words. "Liam, continue to monitor her. Zara could be key to understanding these attackers. Plus, she's a guest under our protection. Let's not forget that." As the briefing continued, the crew discussed potential strategies, from defensive maneuvers to reaching out to Allied forces for intel. The room was thick with concern and a resolve to protect their ship and their new alien guest. Meanwhile, Zara explored the horizon under the guidance of Ensign Tara Jensen, one of the junior crew members tasked with aiding Zara's acclimation. Tara showed Zara around the ship's library, the recreation area, and the observation deck. "Humans have such diverse cultures," Zara remarked as Tara showed her books and artifacts from various Earth regions. "And your emotional expressions are very complex." Tara smiled. "It's what makes us human. Emotions can be powerful. They drive us to do both great and terrible things." Zara paused at the observation window, staring out into the star-filled void. "In Illyrian culture, we strive to transcend emotions, to reach a state of peace and logical thought. Your ways are different, yet there is beauty in this complexity." Tara nodded, understanding the depth of Zara's reflections. "It's not always easy. Sometimes our emotions get the better of us." Their tour ended on the bridge, where Zara watched the crew working seamlessly together. Ethan noticed her presence and walked over. "How are you finding our little world here?" "It is more vibrant than I anticipated," Zara responded, her eyes still scanning the busy panels and screens. "And your leadership, Ethan? It's quite admirable. You care deeply for your crew." Ethan smiled slightly. "They're my responsibility, just like you are while you're aboard my ship." The intercom suddenly blared, interrupting their conversation. Zoe's voice came through, urgent and sharp. "Captain, we've got an anomaly. You need to see this." Ethan excused himself and strode quickly to the communications console. The screen showed an irregular, pulsating signal that was oddly familiar, yet unplaceable. "Is that—" Ethan began, but he already knew the answer. Zara stepped closer, her face pale. "It's similar to the signal emitted by the ship that attacked me." Ethan's jaw tightened as he turned to his crew. "Battle stations, prepare for contact. Marco, coordinate with Zoe. We need every advantage if they decide to engage." As the crew sprang into action, Ethan caught Zara's arm gently. "You should go to a safe place. This could get dangerous." Zara nodded, her expression determined. "I want to help. I may know more about their technology." Ethan hesitated, then realized the value of her offer. "All right, stay with me then. We'll face this together." As the horizon braced for a potential confrontation, Ethan felt the weight of command heavier than ever. But with Zara by his side, providing insights into an enemy no one else understood, he knew they had a fighting chance. The TDF horizon shifted to high alert as the crew prepared for the possibility of confrontation. Captain Ethan Carter and Zara stood together on the bridge, monitoring the incoming anomaly that mirrored the distressing signals associated with her attackers. "Enhance the sensor array. I want a visual on whatever's out there," Ethan commanded, his voice firm and focused. Lieutenant Marco Silva quickly adjusted the controls, and the main screen flickered before stabilizing to reveal a large, menacing ship closing in on their position. "It's the Drakkar," Zara whispered, her voice tense with fear. "Their ships are designed for one thing: destruction." Ethan glanced at her, noting the worry etched on her face. "Stay behind me and keep talking. Anything you know could help us." As the enemy ship came into clearer view, the crew could see its daunting and aggressive structure, bristling with weaponry that was unfamiliar, yet clearly lethal. Sergeant Zoe Reed, stationed at Tactical, reported, "Captain, they're arming weapons. Looks like they're preparing to fire." "Shields up. Prepare evasive maneuvers," Ethan ordered, turning to face the crew. "We need to buy some time. Marco, plot a course that keeps us out of their direct firing line." The horizon lurched slightly as it began to execute the complex series of maneuvers Ethan had ordered. Zara, meanwhile, continued to provide crucial insights. Their weapon systems lock on before firing. If we can disrupt their targeting for even a few seconds, it might give us an edge. Ethan nodded at Zoe. Did you get that? Jam their systems. Any delay could give us the upper hand. Zoe worked her console with rapid precision, sending out a burst of electronic interference. The Drakkar ship's weapons faltered, its beams firing off target, and allowing the Horizon to move to a safer distance. Good work, Zoe, keep it up, Ethan praised, then turned back to Zara. Anything else you can tell us? Zara thought for a moment, her focus intense. Their shields regenerate at a fixed rate. I noticed a pattern when they attacked my ship. There's a brief moment when they're vulnerable. Ethan relayed this information to his crew. Marco, time our shots. Hit them right when Zara says. As the battle continued, the Horizon skillfully dodged incoming fire, using the information Zara provided to strike effectively at the Drakkar ship. Despite their efforts, the sheer power of the enemy ship meant each blow they landed barely made a dent. Captain, we're holding them off, but it's not enough to take them down. We need a new strategy, Marco reported, his expression grim. Ethan surveyed the situation, his mind racing for solutions. Suddenly, an idea struck him. Zara, you mentioned their technology was invasive. Could we turn that against them? Zara's eyes lit up with understanding. Possibly. Their systems are highly integrated. If we introduce a virus or some form of corrupt data, it might cascade through their network. Let's do it, Ethan decided quickly. Zoe, work with Zara. Whatever you need to create that virus, do it now. Zoe and Zara huddled together, rapidly devising a digital assault on the Drakkar systems. Within minutes, they were ready. Sending now, Zoe announced, initiating the transfer of the disruptive code. The effect was immediate. The Drakkar ship faltered, its movements becoming erratic as its internal system struggled against the invasion. Seeing the opportunity, Ethan gave the order. Full firepower, now! The Horizon's cannons roared to life, targeting the now vulnerable points of the Drakkar ship. Explosions blossomed across the enemy's hull, causing significant damage. As the smoke cleared, the Drakkar ship began to retreat, its systems too compromised to continue the fight. Ethan let out a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. We did it, he said, allowing a small smile to cross his face. Thanks to you, Zara. Your knowledge just saved us. Zara nodded, her relief evident. I'm just glad I could help. As the crew celebrated their victory, Ethan knew this encounter was just the beginning. The Drakkar would be back, and they would be prepared. But for now, the Horizon was safe, and his crew had a fighting chance thanks to the alliance between a human captain and an alien scientist. Their unexpected partnership had turned the tide, giving hope where there was none. In the aftermath of their skirmish with the Drakkar, the TDF Horizon limped through space, its systems taxed and hull scarred from the encounter. Captain Ethan Carter convened with his senior staff in the war room, assessing the damage and strategizing their next move. We've sustained significant damage to our propulsion and shielding systems, reported Lieutenant Marco Silva. His brow furrowed as he scrolled through the repair schedules on his datapad. It's going to take some time to get us back to full capacity. Dr. Liam Walsh chimed in with his medical report. We've got a few injuries, mostly minor, but it's clear everyone's feeling the strain. Zara's insights were invaluable, but the crew is on edge, knowing the Drakkar might come back. Ethan nodded, his mind racing with the burden of command. We need to find a safe harbor to make repairs. Marco, plot a course to the nearest Allied outpost. We'll regroup and resupply there. As the crew dispersed to carry out their tasks, Ethan invited Zara to join him for a walk through the quieter sections of the ship. The corridors of the Horizon were dimly lit, a reminder of the power rerouted to critical systems. Zara, I can't thank you enough for what you did, Ethan began, his voice sincere. Your help turned the tide, but I know it came at a cost to you. Zara looked up at him, her luminescent eyes reflecting a mix of emotions. I'm glad to be of assistance, Ethan, but I fear for my people. The Drakkar will not stop with us. Knowing they could target Illyria terrifies me. Ethan stopped walking, facing her. We won't let that happen, I promise you. We'll do everything we can to protect your homeworld. Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden shudder that ran through the ship. Alarms blared briefly as the lights flickered. Ethan touched his communicator. "Report." "It's the aft section, sir," came Zoe's strained voice over the comm. "A minor hull breach, but it's under control. No casualties." Ethan exhaled, the weight of each decision heavy on his shoulders. "Keep me updated. Seal off the section if necessary." Turning back to Zara, he offered a rueful smile. "The price of survival is high out here. We're constantly reminded of our vulnerabilities." Zara nodded, her hand reaching out to touch his arm briefly, a gesture of comfort. "And yet, you continue to fight and survive. There is a remarkable strength in that, Ethan." They resumed walking, the silence between them filled with mutual respect and understanding. Ethan was keenly aware of the ship's battered state as they passed crew members working diligently to patch up the damage. Arriving at the observation deck, they looked out at the stars. Ethan spoke, more to himself than to Zara. "Sometimes I wonder if it's worth the constant battle, the never-ending vigilance." Zara turned to him, her voice soft. "It is always worth it to fight for one's home and people. You've shown great leadership, Ethan. Your crew looks to you for guidance, and you give them hope." Ethan looked back at her, appreciating her perspective. "And what about you, Zara? After all this, what do you hope for?" Zara's gaze returned to the stars, her profile illuminated by the cosmos. "I hope for peace, Ethan, for my people, for your people, and perhaps a chance to explore more of this universe, together." Ethan smiled, moved by her words and the possibility they carried. "Let's aim for that then, peace, and a future where our paths can merge without the shadow of war." As they shared the quiet moment, the horizon continued its journey, a beacon of resilience in the dark vastness of space. Ethan knew the road ahead was fraught with peril, but with Zara by his side, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. Together, they would face whatever challenges the galaxy threw at them, forging a path not just for survival, but for a lasting peace. The TDF horizon had reached the neutral space station at the fringes of the Orion Nebula. The bustling outpost served as a haven for traders, diplomats, and those seeking respite from the conflicts that plagued the galaxy. For Captain Ethan Carter and his crew, it was a necessary pit stop for repairs and intelligence gathering. In the relative safety of the station, Ethan convened a meeting in a secure conference room with his senior officers and Zara, who had become an unofficial yet invaluable member of his strategic team. "According to the intel gathered here, the Drakkar are consolidating power rapidly, far faster than we anticipated," Ethan explained, his eyes scanning the room, gauging the reaction of his team. Lieutenant Marco Silva added, "It's not just brute force. They're using advanced technology, possibly scavenged or stolen, to outpace any opposition. Our encounter was just a taste of their capabilities." Sergeant Zoe Reed, who had been coordinating with station security, shared her findings. "There's chatter about a possible Drakkar fleet amassing near the Illyrian border. If they push through, it could be devastating." Ethan looked at Zara, concern etching his features. "That puts your homeworld in direct danger, Zara. We need to form a plan, and quickly." Zara nodded solemnly, her voice steady despite the looming threat. "I am in contact with my government. They are preparing defenses, but without understanding the Drakkar's new technology, we are at a significant disadvantage." Dr. Liam Walsh spoke up. "Is there anything in your technology that could give us an edge? Any information could be crucial." Zara hesitated, then spoke. "There is one thing, a theoretical weapon that was developed but never used. It's capable of disrupting core energy systems. It was deemed too dangerous, uncontrollable." Ethan pondered the risks. Uncontrollable how? "It targets energy sources and multiplies the output exponentially, leading to system-wide failures," Zara explained. "It could disable a fleet, but could also cause significant collateral damage." Ethan weighed the moral implications. "We need to consider this carefully. Using such a weapon could save countless lives, but at a potentially great cost." Marco added, "It might be our only shot at leveling the playing field." Ethan made a decision. "Zara, coordinate with your people. Get us everything we need to know about this weapon. Marco, start devising a battle plan. Zoe, keep an eye on all communications. We need to know if the Drakkar make their move. As the meeting disbanded, Ethan asked Zara to stay behind. I know this isn't easy for you, he said gently. We're talking about using a weapon that your people fear. If there's any doubt— Zara cut him off. No, Ethan, it's clear now. We must defend our home. And if this weapon can ensure other worlds don't suffer at the hands of the Drakkar, then it's worth the risk. Ethan admired her resolve but felt the weight of the decision pressed down on him. We'll do everything we can to minimize the damage. I promise you that. Over the next few days, the horizon was a hive of activity. Repairs were made swiftly with the help of station engineers, and preparations for the possible use of the Illyrian weapon were underway. Ethan spent hours with Zara, reviewing tactical simulations and refining their strategy. The quiet moments they shared were filled with a tension born of the impending conflict, but also with a mutual respect and understanding that had deepened over their shared trials. Each knew that the coming battle would test not just their resolve, but the very ideals they fought for. As the horizon prepared to depart from the station, Ethan stood beside Zara, looking out at the stars. Whatever happens next, he said, I'm glad you're here with us. Together, we have a chance. Zara nodded, her hand briefly squeezing his. Together, she affirmed, her gaze fixed on the stars, a symbol of hope amid uncertainty. As the TDF horizon approached the Illyrian border, the tension among the crew was palpable. The once distant threat of the Drakkar was now an imminent battle. Captain Ethan Carter had briefed his crew extensively, each member ready for the task ahead, their faces set with determination. In the strategy room, Ethan and his team were in final preparations. Zara, alongside Lieutenant Marco Silva and Sergeant Zoe Reed, reviewed the latest intelligence reports. The Drakkar fleet's massive silhouette loomed on the tactical display, a grim reminder of the challenge they faced. Zara, are you sure this weapon will work? Ethan asked, his voice steady but filled with concern. It will work, Zara replied with quiet confidence. The energy disruption it causes will disable their ships, but timing and precision are crucial. We cannot afford a misfire. Marco chimed in, adjusting the fleet formation on the screen. We'll draw them in close, then hit them hard. The horizon and our allies will need to protect the weapon at all costs. Zoe added, communications are set up for split-second coordination. Every ship in our makeshift fleet knows their role. The crew took their positions as the horizon joined the defensive line formed by Illyrian and allied ships. The vastness of space was now a battlefield, with the Drakkar fleet advancing ominously. Ethan took a moment to address his crew over the comm system. This is it. Stay sharp, follow the plan, and keep each other safe. We fight not only for Illyria, but for the future of all free worlds. Let's show the Drakkar that we stand united. As the enemy fleet drew closer, the tension turned into action. The Drakkar opened fire, their weapons blazing through space. The Allied fleet maneuvered under Ethan's command, dodging energy blasts while returning fire. Zara, stationed beside Ethan, monitored the weapon's charge. It's ready, she announced, her voice a mixture of fear and resolve. Now, Marco, Ethan commanded. At his signal, the weapon unleashed a torrent of energy. A brilliant light shot through the void, striking the heart of the Drakkar fleet. The effect was immediate and devastating. The lead Drakkar ships faltered, their energy signatures flickering wildly as their systems overloaded. Cheers broke out across the horizon's bridge, but Ethan remained focused. Stay on them, keep firing, push them back. The Allied ships pressed their advantage, targeting the disabled Drakkar vessels. But the battle was far from over. The Drakkar, in a desperate move, launched a counterattack, sending smaller fighter ships to swarm the Allied defenders. Zoe coordinated the ship's defenses, targeting the incoming fighters. We've got multiple bogies on our tail. Defensive maneuvers. The horizon shook under the impact of the Drakkar fighters. Ethan gripped the command console, his eyes never leaving the battlefield. Hold the line. Protect the weapon at all costs. The fight raged on, a chaotic dance of ships weaving and firing. Amid the chaos, Ethan noticed a Drakkar dreadnought breaking through the line, its cannons charging for a direct strike. Zara, can the weapon fire again? Ethan asked, urgency in his voice. "It needs more time to recharge," Zara replied, her hands flying over the controls. "We don't have time," Ethan said grimly. "Marco, plot a collision course with that dreadnought. We'll give the weapon the time it needs." "Captain, you can't mean—" Marco started. "I do," Ethan cut him off. "It's the only way. Prepare for impact." As the Horizon steered toward the dreadnought, the crew braced for the collision. In the final moments, Ethan looked over at Zara, who stood resolute beside him. "Thank you, Zara, for everything," he said softly. "Thank you, Ethan, for fighting with us," Zara responded, her voice steady. The Horizon slammed into the dreadnought, a deafening crash echoing through the ship. The impact was catastrophic, tearing into the Drakkar ship's hull and setting off a series of explosions. In the devastating aftermath, the Drakkar fleet, caught off guard, began to retreat. The Allied forces, spurred by the sacrifice of the Horizon, rallied and chased down the fleeing enemy. From the wreckage of the Horizon, emergency pods jettisoned into space, carrying the survivors of the bold maneuver. As rescue ships from the Allied fleet picked them up, the sky above Illyria, once darkened by the shadow of war, began to clear, revealing once again the peaceful stars. In the aftermath of the harrowing battle at the border of Illyrian space, the surviving members of the TDF Horizon's crew, along with their intrepid captain, Ethan Carter, and the alien scientist Zara, found refuge aboard an Allied relief ship. The mood was somber, yet tinged with a palpable sense of relief and muted victory. The Drakkar had been repelled, their advance halted by the brave actions of a hastily assembled coalition, which now drifted in the relative safety of Illyria's orbit. Ethan stood in the medical bay of the relief ship, watching as the medical team attended to the injured. His gaze frequently returned to Zara, who was assisting with the injured despite her own exhaustion. Her resilience and dedication to helping others, even in the wake of such chaos, only deepened the respect and admiration Ethan felt for her. Lieutenant Marco Silva approached Ethan, a datapad in his hand. "Captain, we've done preliminary assessments. The Drakkar losses were significant. It'll take them time to recover, which gives us a much-needed breathing space." Ethan nodded, his mind weary but focused. "Good work, Marco. Ensure our defenses stay alert. We can't afford to let our guard down, not even now." As he spoke, Sergeant Zoe Reed joined them, her expression both weary and determined. "We've got messages coming in from Earth and the other colonies. They're calling it a victory. They're hailing you as a hero, Captain." Ethan's expression remained impassive, understanding the weight of their words. "It's not just me. It's all of us. It's Zara. Make sure they know that. This victory belongs to everyone, especially to those who didn't make it back." Later, as the ship settled into a quiet orbit around Illyria, Ethan found himself on the observation deck, looking out at the vast expanse of space that had nearly claimed their lives. Zara joined him, her presence a comforting silence in the solitude of the stars. "You did a remarkable thing today, Ethan," Zara began, her voice soft but clear. "You saved many lives." Ethan turned to look at her, his face etched with the fatigue of command. "We did it together, Zara. Without your help, without your people's technology, it would have been a massacre." Zara nodded, accepting his words. "Perhaps, but it takes a leader to steer people into the fray, knowing the cost could be high. You are that leader, Ethan." The quiet between them stretched, filled with mutual respect and shared sorrow for the cost of their actions. Finally, Ethan spoke, his words slow and thoughtful. "What happens now, Zara? For your people, for us?" Zara looked out at the stars, then back at Ethan. "Now, we rebuild. We strengthen our bonds, our defenses. We prepare so this doesn't happen again. And perhaps," she paused, a faint smile gracing her lips, "we take this chance to learn more from each other, to build not just defenses, but bridges." Ethan's eyes held hers, and in them, she saw a flicker of hope, a spark that hadn't been there before the battle. "I'd like that," he said. "To learn, to build, to find peace maybe." They stood together, two souls from different worlds brought together by the turmoil of war, now looking towards a future that offered not just survival, but understanding and cooperation. The galaxy still held many dangers, But for now, the stars shone brightly on Illyria, a sign that even the darkest night could lead to a dawn filled with potential. As the relief ship continued its watch over the recovering planet below, Ethan and Zara knew that the road ahead would be challenging. Yet, they also knew that together, with the bonds they had forged and the lessons they had learned, they were ready to face whatever came next, united in their newfound understanding and the shared desire for a lasting peace.